Damn it, we feed you and you think a party breaks out. Everybody, if you go ahead and get a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all kinds. Yeah, if we were in Las Vegas, you'd be quiet because the strippers would be coming out. So, is everybody having a good time? Did everybody get fed? Got some good food? Everybody, did everyone say thank you to Heidi?
Thank you, Heidi.
There you go. She's a sweet, sweet woman, isn't she? So, who all ordered a T-shirt? Raise your hand.
I got two.
You got two?
I got to pay for them.
Oh, okay. What I'm going to do is stand over here on the side and print T-shirts, apparently for the rest of the afternoon, which is fine with me. So you got throwing gang signs over there. No, I'm showing you signs, is he? So what I'll do is after he finishes doing his talk, I'll pull all the shirts that I've printed and everything. We'll see if we're basically going to go on the honor system because I didn't really put together a major way of keeping track of who paid and who didn't. So I'd appreciate it if you'd be honorable in the same fashion. We'll get everybody hooked up with a shirt. We absolutely can. What, Heidi? Yes, give money to the beautiful woman back there sitting next to the very stylish man. Yes, that would be you, Al. Stand up, Al. Stand up. Stand up. Come on. Stand up, Al. Al, you'll be pulling your penis out later on. Stand up now, for Christ's sake. Al is one of the reasons that we do the conference the way we do it now, and I appreciate everything that he does. He gets to show up wearing the staff shirt, but I wouldn't make that man work any more than he already does if I had to. So, has everybody looked at their badge and figured out what the little code is on the side? So, well, on the speaker badge there is none, but down the sides of your badge are lots of little symbols. Actually, in the printing industry, they're referred to as wingdings. So what you have to do is actually socially interact with other people here. It works better with alcohol, but you can do it right now. So the markings down the side of your badge will match up with two other people, one side to another person, the other side to one other person. There is a contest to see who can get the largest chain of people together with matching badges. Last year we plied everyone with alcohol. I'll probably do the same thing this year. The Huntsville guys, Makers Local, had 8 people last year, which was a lot of work, and they actually had to talk to people. It's kind of scary. So, but they did something right, so we're going to go with that. I'm going to be cranking out shirts. We're going to try to do, if anyone wants to do the Nintendo DS Mario Kart contest, we've got the names back in the back. We'll start that up and start playing with that. Decode made the offer. If you guys want Girl Scout cookies, if you hook up with him, they're $3.50 a box. He'll have them delivered to you here. We do not have weed, so they won't be as good as they are at home, but they're still going to be good. And there's a refrigerator in the back. We can throw the Thin Mints in there and try to chill them down for you some.
Actually, I can have that delivered too.
I didn't hear him say that. Can you back that up off the tape?
The refrigerator delivered.
Yeah, there you go. So, so I met this gentleman that's about to speak now. Met him at ShmooCon. Decode and I have this wonderful talent. We are what's referred to as the meat wall. We will corral drunks to where they've got to be because they kind of bounce off of our chests. So one of his buddies had consumed a little bit of alcohol, and by a little bit too much. And he was trying to get him to his room and came up and said, "Yeah, I'm having trouble. Can you guys help me?" Yeah, it took, about 3 minutes to get him into the elevator and up the steps.
He was a little scared.
Yeah, we took care of that. So he had talked to Lady Merlin and said, hey, what do you guys do? And, I've trained her right. She explained to him about Outerz0ne and how he needed to do a talk and donate money and all that fun stuff. So it's kind of scary, but that's what we do. So Brian Wilson, also known as SlimJim100, has asked, which is kind of odd, if he can do a talk at Outerz0ne. I wasn't having to beg or anything like that. So he's going to do a talk now. He also brought some books that I'm going to put out, let everybody check out. They're make an offer on them. Don't really lowball it because it hurts. The money that comes in off the books actually is going to be split, part of it going to Outerz0ne and the other part going to Johnny Long's iHackCharities.org, I believe, isn't it? So without further ado, I'll get out of the way. Thank you very much.
How's everybody doing?
Awesome.
All right, so I've only got like 5 PowerPoints. I'm not going to kill you by PowerPoint. Sorry. I know you want to watch like 100 PowerPoint slides in an hour, but I've literally got very few PowerPoints. What I wanted to do is I want to do a live demonstration of using Cain Enable in a Windows environment to do a man-in-the-middle attack and collect information on the network. So let me kind of get the slides out of the way, and then we'll go live. And right now, I'm actually using Maker's access point.
Is that my access point?
No, I'm using the access point that's non-hotel currently.
Yeah.
I'm using for the man-in-the-middle attack. So if you have a laptop, feel free to jump in. Just don't log in anything you don't want on the screen. Like send fake credentials.
Make this logo 256.
Yeah.
The one that someone
Correct.
else is with. I have a cam hooked up to it.
So I mean, yeah, seriously, bring your laptops out. Start logging into websites, but use fake credentials. Because if they're not using SSL, and my man-in-the-middle attack is effective, what's going to happen is I'm going to intercept all those credentials. So I'll kind of move the password bar over just in case somebody doesn't pay attention and actually logs into something.
No. Wild sheep.
We'll get some feedback. Testing, check.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me now? I can talk really loud. We're cool. All right, so if you go to the Maker's access point, feel free to log in and do any surfing you want to do. Remember, this is technically a hostile network. At least some people in here are hostile. So I mean, just be careful what you decide you're going to log into. But go ahead and start logging into some stuff with some fake credentials. And if everything works out right, I'll start capturing those credentials and explaining how it happens, what's happening at this layer, and then kind of go through it. So let's get the PowerPoint out of the way real quick. Okay, agenda. What is Cain Enable? Demonstration of Cain Enable, questions, comments, credits. Okay, I'm pretty sure most of you know how to read, so I'm not going to go verbatim word for word here. But basically, this is explaining what Cain Enable is. All right, so basically, as you can see, Cain Enable is a password recovery tool for the Windows operating system, but it's so much more. It's like a Swiss Army knife. There's a lot of options and features in Cain. I'm probably going to pretty much focus on the man-in-the-middle attack to explain that, but we could probably talk for a month on all the different tools that are built into Cain Enable. So basically, this is the whole white hat statement. It was developed to help network engineers, security administrators, penetration testers. The author does not support any malicious use of his software. Yeah, what's up?
Don't use SSL?
You should be okay in SSL. I'm only looking for. I'm only capturing plain text information. So.
Well, for the demonstration, don't use SSL?
Yeah. Either way. I mean, I'll capture the SSL and I can decrypt it later. It really depends. I think everybody's good on the slide here. Okay, so this is kind of the scenario we're going to do the man-in-the-middle attack. And the whole idea behind it basically is scan, select victim, attack, sniff, record. One thing I personally like doing when I run Cain Enable and I actually launch a man-in-the-middle attack, I'll light up Wireshark or Outerz0ne. Because Cain's only got so many filters it's capturing on. There could be other things happening at the protocol layer. And basically what you've done is you've turned a switched network into a hub. That's pretty much what you're doing in a man-in-the-middle attack, because now you almost have like a monitor or a sniffing port, and you're capturing everything on that network has to go through you before it goes to the next hop, or one person you select. Too loud? It's maxed out, I think.
Could be, or the heat gun.
All right, reasons for a man-in-the-middle attack. I keep blasting you with the mic here, sorry. All right, so there's a lot of good reasons you would want to perform man-in-the-middle attack for legitimate purposes. If you got to do any kind of troubleshooting, if you think you have a virus outbreak in a large network, and you know some of the triggers and traces of this viral outbreak, like it does ping, symmetrically pings for hosts, stuff like that, you could actually analyze everything on the network if you force it to go through your computer. And then you get the Outerz0ne to capture the packets, and then you can go through later. Kind of like I said before, you can take any low-end switch that doesn't have the ability to make a mirror port or monitor port, and you can turn that low-end switch into some of the features. You could basically turn it into a hub. You could pick one IP you want to monitor. So say you're at home and you kind of want to keep an eye on what your kids are doing online. You can actually set up a little micro man-in-the-middle attack on them, and you can kind of filter out and see what's going on, just to keep an eye on them and make sure they're okay. So it's really, I mean, really matters how old your kids are. If your kids are, out of the house, it's probably a little weird. So reasons why you would perform man-in-the-middle attack, it kind of continues. We already kind of talked about the Wireshark. In some cases, depending on what type of switch or wireless network you're on, depending on how they implement layer 2 security, you can actually capture VLAN information, as almost as if you have a trunk VLAN port. And that gets really interesting when you have VoIP, and VoIP's on a VLAN, because Cain can also sniff as a string. So. Okay, so man-in-the-middle attacks take advantage of layer 2 weaknesses, and there are many different vendor solutions to prevent this. Believe it or not, this hotel is as luxurious as it is, actually has a decent layer 2 solution on their in-house wireless network. I'm not saying you can't get around it, but a basic man-in-the-middle attack would be hampered by some of the implementations they're using now. On a switch, because you can do this wireless or wired. On a switch that's wired, one of the tricks some of the vendors use is they only do maybe maximum of 3 MAC address association to that port. So once you start trying to spoof everything, you have too many MAC addresses and it just locks you out. There's access control lists, or ACLs, filtering, IDS, IPS. There's all kinds of different things you can do at layer 2. The only thing is nobody really thinks about security at layer 2. They got their firewall, they got this, they got that, but they never really focus on the actual network devices themselves, which could save them so much time. Cain can collect passwords and information from this. So it only does like little things. Okay. So we got like FTP, proxy, IMAP, POP3, SNMTP, ICQ, VNC. I mean, if you look at this bottom one, if you can read it, captures and decodes VoIP conversations that travel in RTP protocol and saves them as WAV files. So you're able to do a lot here. And it's also pretty cool because Cain's also looking at layer 3 routing protocols. You got RIP, EGRP, OSPF. So you can capture a lot of that information. And this is all available at the author's website, which is oxit.it. And at the very last slide, I'm going to have like the credits where you can go. And it's free. Okay, so this is kind of like when you decide to start doing like the voice recordings. Once you have an active man-in-the-middle session going, you're actually able to sniff and record SIP and real-time protocol packets. The VoIP conversations from that point would be saved into the Cain. Now, some reasons why you might want to do that. If you're a day trader, the FTC actually requires you to record all conversations to track all orders, because you got to verify, that the order was placed. Because you're talking about buying 1 billion shares of this, you really want to make sure there's a log of what happened, just in case they say I didn't do that. So, and then of course the whole thing, don't record calls that if you're not supposed to. I mean, that's just rude. If you're troubleshooting, it's one thing, but really respect somebody else's privacy as you like yours respected. So don't get messing around and start trying to jack people's Skype connections and stuff like that. It's just not cool. Some other reasons you'd actually want to do, like capture the VoIP calls. Well, on top of the Outerz0ne trace and actually having an audio file capture, which you could pull out of Outerz0ne or Wireshark, it allows you to check for delay, jitter. So you can actually look at the phone's MOS score and figure out how the quality is. And Cain supports rainbow tables. All right, so let's go live. I'm going to kind of duck down so you guys can look and I can keep up here. If anybody can't hear me, just kind of give me a heads up. At this point, we're watching the monitor, not me. Okay, so I boot up Cain. I turn my sniffer on up in your corner. Right now, I'm actually already doing the man-in-the-middle attack, but I would go down to the sniffer tab here, and I go to the host tab. And once I'm in the host tab, I've already scanned most of these devices. I'll right-click. I'll hit Scan MAC addresses, and it's going to go through and basically what my computer's doing right now is it's sending ARP replies. Who has this? Who has that? But it's doing it for the whole subnet. So anything that's out there is going to reply back, and I'm going to know what's on the network with me. On top of that, I'm going to get the OUI fingerprint, and Cain's got the list that it's going to kind of know what kind of device that is if it's listed in the OUI database. Now, if somebody's out there spoofing their MAC address, you can really screw with that because I won't know what your device is necessarily. So I go to the Arp tab. Yeah, see, some people were using HTTPS. You can see I'm recording some of the sessions, like this one. But let's go to the Arp tab. Okay, so currently I've got 3 full routes. What we'll do here is we'll click on this top area here and we hit plus. Now this just grabbed all that information from our host page when we were scanning our hosts. And this gives us the information of who's available to get in the middle of. What I normally do is I find out what the gateway is. In this case it's 0.1. And then I'll come over here and I'll see what's out there. That whole shift thing to get them all. But I want basically the gateway to everybody I want to get in the middle of. And what I personally like to do is I'll come back in and I'll grab all the other addresses if I have time, and I'll get between all of them too. So I'm getting between every host and every device going to the gateway. If you just pick the gateway, then you're only getting traffic leaving the network, but you're not getting inter-network traffic. And if you're really trying to troubleshoot, you really want to get everything. So you want to get the inter-network traffic between hosts and devices, and you want to get everything that's trying to leave the network on the gateway. And as you can see, after I did that, see all these routes showing up here. Half route means that I have half the conversation listed, and until I can establish a full communications where I'm in the middle of both sides, I'm half routing. If somebody's on a VPN, I may be half routing because I can't read it all. When I got a full route, that means I am in the middle of this session now. Every packet goes through my computer to get to the next destination. How did I do that? Basically, I screwed with the layer 2 communications in the ARP table. I went out and I told the gateway, hey, by the way, if you need to reach anybody in the network, I'm a bridge. You got to come through me. They have static ARP entries. It really depends on the features of the switch, but there is ways to get around that too. But that's one of the security implementations you can do is static ARP or limited ARP per port. But yeah, static ARP can prevent a lot of fun stuff like this. But yeah, and I'll start to go into that later on preventive maintenance, preventive measures to keep you from being a victim. But as we're going here, as you can see, I've got a lot of communications going right now to a whole bunch of different people. Looks like 0.18 is doing a lot. Over on this other side, you see the certificates, right? So if they went to any website that required a certificate or issued one, what happens is I'm relaying that message. So what I do is I actually get the real certificate and I make a fake one and send it to them. Now, how many people have seen that little thing, the little pop-up says, oh, blah, 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 the certificate's not valid? Who doesn't go to that site then? Okay, a couple of you, right? But does your mom? Your mom's like, oh, close. I'm going there anyway. So if you're not conscious about this, I mean, if you look, I mean, I've got certificates for Yahoo, for Google here. I mean, I got in the middle of a lot of stuff.
She calls me to ask what it is.
Yeah. And at that point, you're like, just click OK, Mom. Yeah, PayPal, that's cool. So like here's somebody's, this is an Arp to an IMAPS. And wow, this is an older one, so I don't want to open it. I don't know whose information's in there.
Yeah, I would really rather you not.
But so like I could do DNS ARP. Well, one time I was doing this call, I was doing this presentation, right? So I'm at ChicagoCon, and it's a quick story real quick. I'm at ChicagoCon doing this, and I'm hearing all this stuff. Oh, Windows can't hack, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, who is this guy? And just like a couple of guys from the local 2600, and they were just like hassling me. So I was just trying to smile and be nice about it. I'm like, all right, I'll just try to ignore them. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 I get all these IMAP hits. And I'm like, is somebody checking their email? They get kind of quiet, and I look over there, and I see him turning his iPhone off. And after that, I was like, I think I got your email. And he's like, he kind of got worried. I was like, I'm not going to display it. And he's like, oh, okay. And after that, he was like really into the presentation because he became part of it. What's up?
How do you do man-in-the-middle through like SSL if the encryption is performed on your device?
It really depends on what you're doing. What you can do is you can record the session, or you can get into the session. You're not going to get the plain text information because it's encrypted. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tools out there, and devices are becoming nicer, but let me see what we got here. All right, so like here's an SSL capture. So not everything is encrypted. All the header information isn't encrypted, and you can dig some information out. Now, that's all garbage to me right now, right? But there are other tools. Another thing I like about Cain, this is actually a Google mail. And they're supposed to, yeah, look at password. All right, we're going to close that. Again, I'm not going to try to take anybody's stuff. And when I'm done with the presentation, after I've been in the middle, I'm going to erase all the collection data on it. because I've actually got stuff from the last presentation. And I already told you, don't log in anything you don't want everybody to know about. So the Arp DNS tab, right? The Arp DNS tab is really fun if you want to screw with your friends. Because if you get the active man in the middle attack going, right, if you know they always go to Google first for their homepage, you can send them anywhere you want. You can redirect from Google to like TubGirl. Or, I mean, Yahoo. But I mean, you can really mess with people with the DNS redirection. And I'm not sure who's online and who I'm getting in the middle of, but actually we'll do yahoo.com. Resolve, and where do we want to send them? We'll just send them to MSN. Let's be nice. Yeah, we can do that too. So it automatically resolved the DNS to server name for me. And then I hit OK, and now it's running. So only people I've actively got in the middle of can be affected by this. So if anybody's already gotten there, let me go back to host real quick and make sure that nobody else has joined in. If they have, I can go ahead and add them to the list. Okay, see, we got a few more. All right, so back to what I was explaining earlier. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go to the top to ARP. Click in this field just to get the plus sign to show up. Click here, and I'm just going to say anybody outbound. I want everybody going outbound on this network to go through me, and hit OK. And then we're actively poisoning all these current connections.
Everybody go to Google.
Yeah, go to Yahoo and see if it works. Did I get you?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
And this is all based on an ARP poison attack?
Well, this is DNS poisoning. This is local. This is localized DNS poisoning. I'm ARPing your DNS. So like you're requesting information, and I'm just doing whatever I want to you.
Well, right, but to do that, you had to step into the
Well, I'm already the man in the middle. Yes, because without that, I couldn't because I don't control the DNS. But if you're going through me, I can kind of do whatever I want with your packets.
to fake SSL certs without the pop-up. Like you can step in as a root cert.
If you have, but see, you still got to be chained through a CA. Because yeah, I mean, what I was telling you before, we have the certs here, right? And if you actually look at the certs we collect, it's fake. And just go take a second here. I refuse to give up on this laptop, and it's like died so many times. But if you see right here, Windows doesn't have enough information to verify the certificate. So basically what Cain did was Cain grabbed everything from the real certificate and repasted it in and sent it out, but he didn't have a real fingerprint to go back through the certificate authority to actually verify it. So he left some of those fields out. So Windows is like, well, it might be valid. So it doesn't set off a security alarm that it's illegal or it's wrong. It's just that I don't have enough information. So be careful. And yeah, keep asking questions because really this is whatever you guys want it to be. Like I said, I only had like 5 PowerPoints. I just wanted to kind of geek out with you guys and show you what, some tools I like. So back to the DNS. So you see we have 8 responded spoofs. So we've spoofed 8 times to this. You can actually get in the middle of SSH1, record the whole conversation, remote desktop protocol, secure FTP, POP3, IMAP, LDAPs. You can really cause some problems here. So let's go to the passwords. You ready?
Can you actually interact with an RDP session?
Yes. Yes. Well, what you do is when it's with RDP, you're in the middle of it, right? But because it's encrypted, what you do instead is you're recording the whole session. And if you have the right ability to brute force, you can actually break the encryption and take it over. You can sidejack it, or you can get the information to log in later. Oh, you rock. Sweet.
Now, did the patch that came out with that's part of Vista?
It's broke again.
It's broke again?
Yeah. If you go to Cain's website, oxa.it, he's adding patches, bugs, and new features like 2 or 3 a month. And it's free. It's been free. It's been out for probably 6, 7 years or longer.
It's been out for quite a
Because
while.
it used to be supported on Windows 98, 95.
Yeah, he's been working on RDP, doing the man-middle. There's some weird issues with which version of RDP it is
Correct.
connecting to.
Correct.
And sometimes it's hit or miss. And the logs you get are kind of a pain in the butt, but I have a tool for that. So
Yeah. Go to Iron Geek's site. He's released so many videos, and a lot of them focusing on Cain. And at one point in time, I also had some videos. I have a site out there that has some videos I don't really release anymore. I don't have the energy that Adrian over here has to keep putting it out there. But go to Iron Geek's site. He's got a lot of educational videos that will actually walk you through on how to do a lot of what I'm talking about here. So, yeah. Nice. What's the password? Donkey. I'm feeling the love. I'm feeling the love. But if we look right here, New York Times is vulnerable. Slashdot's vulnerable. StumbleUpon's giving us information. Delicious has got some issues. Google, again. But actually in the Google side, it's really, it's not actually giving me a password. If you look, it's just numbers, which is probably more of a session thing. Nice. Let's go PG-13 here. But but if you look over here on the side where my mouse is at, we're just looking at HTTP. We've also got telnet sessions, and then if we want to look at those, and I really don't know what's in them, but I don't think it's anything bad. Oh, okay, so this is logging into a Cisco router. No, this is a Sun OS box. I'm sorry, somebody rooted it, and or somebody was logging into root, and I just happened to be in the middle of this conversation. Nice. There's a lot of different protocols here that are supported. This is just the active password capture. We haven't even talked about the cracker field. And the cracker field actually lets you dump hashes from the collection for offline cracking. When you offline crack with them, you can use your own dictionary files, your own word lists, brute force, or cryptanalysis, which is another word for rainbow tables. And you can pull your own rainbow tables in.
Are they compatible with John the Ripper also, the tables default?
I think, see, here's the problem with that, like Rainbow Crack and then WinRTGen, all these people keep making their specialized character sets and table types, and they're really starting to become less open source and more proprietary to their own little product. So if you have some like the old school RCrack, like some of the first ones, or if you used like WinRTGen and Cain, because Cain actually comes with a GUI rainbow table builder, free. So if you don't know how to do the command line switches, you just click the little tabs and hit execute, and then your CPU goes to 100% for like 4 days. What's up?
Some of my experience with cracking passwords, I found the fastest way is to use off-tracks free tables. If it doesn't hit it, then R-tracks with Spoof tables. Finish it up with John. This is a great tool, but it's got the slowest password cracking.
I agree, but you can collect them. You're getting the dumps here. You want to talk about rainbow tables? I mean, I don't want to get too offbeat, but I'm one of the founders of plaintext.info, which was probably the first distributed client-server rainbow cracking site on the internet. We were actually working with Mutz from White Hat LA, or Maddie from Backtrack, Offensive Security. I was working with him, and when he was building his tables, and that's when I had actually set that site up. I had got a coder involved, and we actually had a client server. So we had a whole bunch of clients out there running this software, and they could host 100 gig, 50 gig, or whatever, rainbow tables on their computer, and we'd send requests out to them. We could have hundreds of these guys out there. They didn't have to you didn't have to have one computer with terabytes of tables. We had thousands of computers with a couple gigs of tables to equal terabytes worth of power. So it's kind of like cluster computing through any operating system because we're using simple code.
Why can't you do SSH2?
Well, I'd have to check the thing list. SSH2's got a higher encryption on it. It's using triple DES. Yeah. See, one of the things, if you go to Cain's site, what's it called? I'm sorry, Mayo is what I call it because I can't pronounce. It's an Italian name and it's huge, and he goes by Mayo because, most of us can't pronounce his name. But he actually covers some of that. But he explains in the product description of Cain, it's not doing anything that a simple code couldn't fix. All the vulnerabilities that Cain enable exploits are already well known. It's nothing. 90% of it he didn't invent. He does make some of his own custom stuff. And again, this is free software. It's not open source. It's free. And it's been free since day one, and the guy's put a lot into it. And he has a donation button, and I really recommend it. And if you're going to download it and you start using it and you like it, give him $10. I mean, really. Then you got the software free, and you really got to learn a lot from it. Let's look at one more thing real quick. Let's go to configure so I can explain how you find your network card. So you hit the configure button in the top corner, and you've got your sniffer. So you would select the network interface you're going to use. In this case, I only have one connected with the IP address. And then down below, look at the options. Start sniffer on setup, okay. Don't use promiscuous mode. And then start ARP at startup. I really don't recommend start ARP poisoning at setup because you don't even know what subnet you're on. So you got like the last connection you had's information there. Under the Arp tab, you can spoof your MAC address and your IP. So if you really want to screw with an administrator and you're on there and you're playing around, he will have no clue how to get a hold of you because you're going to spoof your IP address and your MAC address. Now in the MAC field, it's grayed out, but you can go in the registry and change that. It's done that because a lot of people don't know like all Fs is not a really valid MAC address, it's a broadcast, and you can really screw a network up quick. So the author is pretty careful to statically assign you 111.222.344. And so if you see that on your LAN, you see that MAC address, somebody's probably running Cain. But it can be changed. File imports, this is basically what we're going to collect on. These are the ports we're looking at, and you can add more.
Can you do wire and wired selection at the same time?
What's that?
Do you run wired selection and wireless at the same time?
You can only sniff from one interface at a time. But, I mean, you can have as many connections to your computer as you want. But here's the thing. You actually have multiple addresses when you have multiple NICs. So you're going to be attacking yourself at the same time, too. Unless you do not select that computer. Because, again, I don't have to take the whole subnet. As I was showing you when I was hitting the gateway and grabbing everybody, I can pick one person. So if you're a little stressed out and you're like, somebody really is messing with you, you could technically kind of mess them a little bit, like change the DNS entries for just like one person. Like, I don't know what's wrong. Every time I go to Google, I get Yahoo. They're going to call the help desk. Help desk is going to start there laughing at them, calling them an idiot. And they're never, nobody's going to know what's going on if it's only one person. It's kind of interesting because you can really mess them. And again, if you need to monitor somebody for a legitimate reason, it's another thing you can do too. As I said earlier, like I have a man-in-the-middle attack running right now. Normally, I would actually go down here and I'd just light up Wireshark to start recording everything. I have no reason to troubleshoot this network, so I'm not really going to waste the hard drive space to start recording this whole session. So once you made your selection of your network card, you got to go back and turn your sniffer on. That was that tab up there in the corner. And yeah. As Adrian said, there's so much jammed into the GUI.
This is the first tool that really inspired me, I think, to do the videos.
Yeah.
Because this is one that's hard to tell people, click on this tab, go here, go there.
Yeah, it's really complicated to try to explain this without showing somebody, as Adrian was saying. Because if you look at each tab I go to, I got tabs up top, tabs on the bottom. Because I got all these tabs up here. I got all these tabs down here. Like VoIP, these are VoIP sessions that were recorded from one of my last sniffs. Somebody was using SIP, and it just, boom, I started recording the conversations. And it saved them to WAV file. I can only save conversations to WAV file if they're running a codec that's supported. Due to the fact that software is free, you can't expect Mayo to go out there and pay copyrights for codecs so you can have them on this thing. So he's using free codecs. You could technically hack up your own to support more. And if you're doing Wireshark anyway, really, if you're already doing Wireshark, you don't really need Cain to capture it for you. I'm not sure if you know, but you can actually pull out voice conversations and real-time streams from Wireshark, and that's probably a whole nother talk. But
Are the sniffs output in the PCAP so you can pull them into Wireshark later for analysis?
no.
Pretty much what you have to do is use Cain to set up the actual man milling, have Wireshark running in the background actually doing the dump, or maybe wind dump in the background doing the dump. Then you have a PCAP file which you can then load into Cain, Network Miner, Wireshark again, any old tool. The nice thing about Cain is it doesn't make the P dumps, but it will cross them. So let's say you're in some facility doing a pen test, you can have like a Nokia N810 or some other device that will log to a PCAP file. Be dumping files as you're walking around. Go back home and then open it up in Cain.
So I just went to the wireless tab real quick because I kind of think it's cool. It's kind of like a built-in net stumbler. If you look, it's really the net stumbler code in the icon still. But as you can see, you can actually recon some access points, and you might see some that you didn't even know are there. If you want to go spend the money at like Cache Technologies, the guys that make Wireshark, because it used to be Ethereal, became Wireshark, he got a real job. Well, they actually make, do you have one, Adrian?
I'm going to put it
Okay, well they have a really expensive USB Wi-Fi adapter, the PCAP. I never really wanted to drop the $300 for a USB thumb drive Wi-Fi adapter. I guess you did?
Evaluation unit.
Oh, there you go. Sweet. So this is the Air PCAP. Basically, this will allow you to break WEP in Windows through a GUI very, very fast. What's your times on that?
I have a video on it, but I don't recall what it was. The nice thing about newer versions of Windows, let's say Windows Vista,
Yeah.
is you can actually do monitor mode in Windows Vista without that. Now, unfortunately, a lot of tools don't support it. The only tool I've actually found that supports it is, what is it, Network Monitor from Microsoft. Now, a guy named Joshua Wright has been writing some stuff, but I haven't read his paper yet.
Yeah.
Talks about also the power tools you can use on mon mode in Windows Vista with, but you have to consult his documentation, and I haven't looked into it too closely.
Okay. So over here, if you look at the where my mouse is at, I don't want to plug this in without the driver and like crash the computer. This computer's on its last leg right now. But afterwards, well, let's see, later on this evening, because I don't want to take away any more of this time, if you want to find me and ask me questions, we can do an active man-in-the-middle attack. Let's just make sure we're doing it. I have an access point. We'll set up our own network. You really don't want to go out there and just try to strike. We'll lose the hotel if we start hacking people. We don't want to do that. Plus, it probably gets you arrested if they could figure it out. But so like the Air PCAP is really cool, but again, it's kind of expensive. But if you don't want to learn Linux and you don't want to get a compatible card and go command line, you can go drop the money. And if you're doing consulting, I mean, the customer can pay for it, right? It's part of the pen test. It's a needed tool. But that's really cool. This other tab up here, because I'm running a little low on time, and I know I'm all over the place, so I mean, stop me if you have a question. This is the Cisco config download utility. You're like, what's that mean? Okay, so I'm man-in-the-middle attacking, right? Say I start collecting SNMP. Well, if it's version 1 or version 2, which is almost the only ones ever used, the strings are in plain text. So I've got the read-write strings. Well, with this tool here, if I hit the plus symbol, I can actually pick an IP address and then SNMP string, pick the protocol version 1 or 2, hit OK. And if it's a certain version of iOS, which a lot of them support it, it just grabs the config file for me, the running config from the router, and give it to me. So what happens when I get the running config from the router? Well, I go up here and I go to this type 7 password decoder and I break the password. So now I have access to log into the router as you know, Cisco type 15.
The enable password?
Yes. You got the config, so you have all the passwords. It depends if they use service encryption in the configuration. Most people still use type 7 passwords, which is stupid. That's been broken so many years ago. You might as well go with the service encryption. We're using the type 5 that's using salted MD5.
So that has to be done on a management interface, I assume? To capture it, you have to be on the management interfaces.
If you're man-in-the-middling, I mean, well, people just don't seem to know actually how to set up their routers. When it comes to like their Windows servers or things, they've got their strategic command. I got to lock this down. I got to change this. I got to fix this. When it comes to the router, they're like, I don't know. Go ahead. You have to go to the help file probably to look at it. iOS depends on what model you have really, because I mean, you still got 12.1. You've got you got so many different versions of iOS because you got the main branch. And then every product gets a break off. And when it breaks off the main branch, it gets its own number scheme until it goes back to the main branch for features again. So you've got a lot of iOS that goes up in numbers and all of a sudden jumps backwards. So that's kind of tricky. So like I said, if you capture the SNMP information, you can pull that down. And if it's vulnerable, it's going to pull that config file for you. And then again, you have the type 7 password. You have a VPN tool here to break the VPN password. This is the syskey decoder for an operating system. Remote desktop password decoder. So if the computer is running remote desktop and you save the password, this will just give it to you. This is for your local computer you're on. Again, this tool is a LAN-based tool. So you're not going to go own the internet with Cain enabled because you can't man the middle outside your subnet. Remember, we're talking about mostly layer 2 to 3 translations. Everything outside of you is layer 3 and above. But you got like an RSA token decoder that can start generating numbers once you collect enough of them. A hash calculator, VNC password decoder. There's a ton of tools in here. All right, that's the VoIP. I just turned the poisoning back on right here. So we got FTP conversations going. This happens to look, this would be your crotch cam there. It's making connections to 120.
We know your password now. Actually, that's not my crotch cam. My crotch cam is...
You're right, that's not. No, this is from July. Wow, this is like another one. But it's cool, this is all private. See, I can share this because it's all private-based IP addresses. It's all LAN side, so even if you found this box, you'd have to be on the LAN.
Can you view that video real time too?
Video? What do you mean?
From the camera.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't even tried.
Cam, I don't think, well, Cam itself
I've been with
has a
enough
long
conventions.
format.
I've been in enough conventions where anytime there's a site for a camera, I don't go there.
That's a great one. SlimJim sucks.
Yeah. I'm feeling the love.
I figured he would do voice over IP.
And that's .18, so I can find out who you are, and you know, we can play. Well, the voice over IP, it's not doing it live. It's actually what it is it's recording that capture.
Right, and then playing it.
And then it's converting it into a WAV file. It's not playing it live. It's saving it into a WAV file. So even if you were to look at the video, you'd have to have the right codec. Now, what will happen with the video, if it's using RTP, which it probably is, then you'll record the voice of the video. If it has audio, you might record the audio but not know what to do with the video. But if you're running a Ethereal or Wireshark, you've still got all the data. You can recompile anything you want. Wow, people are really having fun with this. Any other questions? All right. So,
might want to note that if the more people that you operate at the same time, the more likely you are to cause huge network issues. Sometimes if you know a particular host, you want to see what traffic's going between them and the gateway, it's better just to go between them and the gateway than everybody. Everybody gets you everything, but sometimes weird
packet loss.
things happen.
You see the bottom where it says packet loss? If that actually starts going up, and I've seen only like 1% can actually crash a LAN switch or a wireless access point. You're screwing with the layer 2 tables. If your computer can't handle being the router, then you're going to start dropping stuff and holding it and causing delay, and it's going to jack that whole layer 2, layer 3 up. And you can crash switches, access points, and everything else. So you really want to make sure you watch the packet loss. And it's always best to do this wired versus wireless because you have a faster line speed. You don't know if you're going to run out of signal strength. Go ahead.
Is there any way you can detect someone on your LAN doing this?
Detect the mistress now.
You can, in theory.
If you watch your Arp table, you can. Look up. Alright, for Linux, there's something called Arp Watch. I don't know if they ported it to Windows. A while back, me and some friends from Venrev worked on a tool called Decaffeinated. It's an intrusion detection. It'll sit there in Windows and watch your MAC addresses change, and it's changing real quick. It starts pointing a message saying, you know, this MAC address just changed with this IP address, and it keeps changing. You may want to look into that. So that'd be one way, because if you see a lot of Arp traffic, pretty damn sure someone's either using Cain or
Ethercap, yeah. But also, if you have Wireshark going and somebody's doing this, almost every type of software that does stuff like this will have a signature of its own of some sort. There's something about its packets that you can actually sniff out. And if you go to like, I think it's Wireshark Academy, Wireshark University, there's a lot of free courses out there, and they do like monthly newsletters where they'll do a video, and they'll teach you how to look at signature files in Wireshark and how to actually identify if a NESIS scan's running. Because there's information in the packet you can search for. And it'll let you know what's actually happening on your network. You can start making your own signatures to find out what's going on. And you can build your own because you can actually attack your own network and look for something unique to that software that's doing it and make your own signatures. Okay, so like I went to the network tab, but this time I went to the Windows section of it, and I'm basically doing some NetBIOS talk. So I said Microsoft Windows Networks, and it looks like we got 2 groups here. We got the normal work group, and somebody's from Pancakes. At this point, I'll go to all computers. I'll click it. Now this is actually waiting for a response back, and the whole Windows protocol. It can actually freeze up, or take a while before it finally times out. And that's one thing that kind of bothers me about Cain, and the fact that it's GUI. If anything kind of freezes up, a lot of times you'll have to crash it and restart it. But whose work group's name is Pancakes? What? Whose work group name is Pancakes? Okay, I'm looking for your computer right now. I won't do anything mean, but you notice I keep saying, okay, again, I've been talking about Cain and Abel, right? Well, so far we've been playing with Cain. Okay, there he is, yeah. So Windows XP. Let's see if we can do an old session real quick. Probably not. Oh, wow, okay. All right, so you can tell me your groups? Nah.
What about his shares?
Yeah, let's see if he's got any shares there. Oh yeah, shared documents.
What do you bring with him?
Printer. So I could, if he's got a printer connected or something like that, or something else, I can like just start printing out like all the Wikipedia to his printer. So I mean, and I've seen some pretty. They found some shared printers at Shmoo, and they were like doing some pretty nasty images, and putting like 1,000 copies. And the office staff was probably pretty upset when they were out of toner and they had a lot of images they never wanted. Or just a blank black page, and you tell it to print.
Shouldn't have done that, man.
It was not me. It was not me. I don't boot my computers up at most conventions, like Shmoo and Depp. I won't even bring up the computer. Everybody hear me still? Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello? Are we there? All right. Well, I'm almost out of time, so we're good. So I'm not going to really try to mess with his computer anymore, but there's one cool thing. You can right-click on the Services tab, and if he's been patched and he has his service pack, so he's not as vulnerable as a lot. But you can right-click, and if it allowed me, the next option it would give me is Install Able, because this is Cain and Able. Able is basically kind of like a little remote version of Cain. It's going to allow me to get a remote console, remote command line. It'll allow me to dump all the hashes remotely. And the really cool thing is that, like, if you're doing a pen test and you can get the domain controller, every account's in the domain controller. So I can dump all the hashes from the domain controller. So I have every username and hash on that domain. So it's not like I don't want to change anybody's password. I'm actually going to become them, right? Because if I change their password, they know something's up, right? So if I'm doing a pen test, I'm going to aim for the domain controller. I'm going to see if I can get a null session, find a vulnerability to get in there. And remember, I'm hacking with Windows. I'm doing all this with Windows and like one tool, so it's really cool. And you can again, when I run Cain, it's like the base tool for my man in the middle usually, and then I got a lot of other stuff I'm going to be running too. And if you need to change your MAC address, you don't even have to do it in Cain. You can go get ether change and change your MAC address.
Could you add a registry key there so that it would automatically
Yes.
install Able next time you rebooted it?
Oh no, once you install Able, it's a service on that computer until it's uninstalled. But you can remotely uninstall it when you're done. So, Able gives us a lot of cool stuff.
Will it be the memory image injection for Able so that it doesn't actually show up in the file system?
No. See, this is malicious. That's a little malicious. That's actually malicious cause. And again, honestly, Mayo is not trying to build a malicious tool. This tool is for administrators to use. And I know a lot of nonprofits that actually use the Windows network here because they don't want to buy Dameware. They have a domain account, so they can log into anything. Because right now, I could go to old boy's computer here. I'm searching the other network. I can right-click and hit login as, and if I know the administrator account, I log in and I control it. It's like here's some other computers: Craft, laptop, and Omixia port. Yeah. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Well, first you have to have a valid connection with rights. Again, this is malicious software. It's not rooting it. So as an administrator, you would just use your administrator credentials, and you would control that box. Well, see, then that goes back into the sniffing. If this is actual if this is actual domain, there's going to be challenges, NTLO challenges on the network and everything else. You're going to capture those. You're going to go back to your cracker tab, which is right here, and you're going to grab them and you're going to start brute forcing them. Dictionary attack, brute force attack, cryptanalysis, and then Rainbow Crack Online. But I'm not sure if they're on. I'm not sure if they still exist. So I mean, and again, as I said, Cain's not the best dictionary brute force tool, but if you like Windows and you want to learn about how this stuff works, it's really good for that. What's up?
Not directly related to Cain and Able, but you mentioned VoIP. Just for general information, HD Moore last week showed
Warvox.
Huh?
Talking about Warvox?
Okay. Yeah. He's expected to release the beta on that publicly next week, and we're hoping it's going to be incorporated in Backtrack 4.
Yeah. HD really pushes the limits a lot. He's a great guy, but here's the thing: I'm just really worried because now I'm going to start getting voicemails. I just know it. I know like my work and my cell phone now are going to they're going to start calling me. An automated machine's going to call me trying to sell me Viagra because he can dial 10,000 numbers in like 8 hours.
Since you mentioning your organization, so we're doing a distributed way of cracking these, you may want to mention the Cain's ability to set up a weekend version of challenge response so you can grab.
We're building an API for that.
Okay.
I don't want to go too much into plaintext.info because there's a lot of stuff going on in the background still.
Okay.
And we're structuring ourselves, and we're getting ready to probably take over another site. So there's a lot of work in the back end. When I get that ready, that's probably going to be a presentation here and then eventually a DEF CON presentation. So I right-clicked on laptop and asked me for username and password. So I'm going to do like admin. And we'll see if it fails. You think it would. If I don't type in any password, I just double-click, it's a null session. If I type in a username and account by right-clicking and actively logging on, then I send credentials. And again, I told you, the GUI on Cain, because we're like using NetBIOS here, it's a little slow. But it should come back and cancel out on me. And I'm almost out of time, so if anybody's got any other questions, or they want to geek out with this later, let me know. I plan on trying to be sober tonight and not really partying hard. So, you know, if anybody doesn't want to stay up till like 7, no, I've only had like 4 hours. No, not even 4, like 3 hours sleep. So, see that failed to log in, but I'm not even sure if this is my computer or not. I don't know whose computer this is. I don't think so. I might have. Did I?
I may have. I'm sorry.
Iron Geek broke the internet.
It happens.
Yes, but if you look at the bottom corner, I have 0 packet loss. So I did a null session of this one. See, it's been patched, so it's not going to let me enumerate. Yeah. Too bad somebody didn't bring an older computer here. We could really tear it up. See what we got here. Yeah, see, a lot of stuff's been patched. But they got the shares, right? And you can really screw with people in the shares. And I'm not actually going to do anything mean to anybody here. This guy doesn't even have shares turned on. So before I get kicked off the stage, anybody else got any more questions? Want to look at anything else? So if anybody wants to like geek out later, let me know. I'll probably come down here. Maybe go back and take a couple hours sleep, but I'll probably come down here later this evening. And anybody wants to sit down and go over any of the features, let me know. And we could actually sit down and we can do a live man in the middle attack. We can record it, and then we can go to the packet level and look at, go back packet level if you want. So I'll be available. I don't want to do it after this because there's other speakers you really need to sit down and pay attention to. So once the speakers are done talking, if anybody wants to sidebar and actually do some more work with this, let me know. Let me know. I'm up in 626, but don't come up at like 2 a.m. drunk, like knock on the door, show me something, because yeah, that's not cool. I'm sleeping tonight. Any last questions? Because I'm going to keep Skydog on track here. All right, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint real quick and give contacts. And again, this is always a live demo, so I really don't know what I'm going to do. I just kind of fly off the seat of my pants. And really, if you guys have any, your questions and your comments really help me figure out what you guys need. And go to Iron Geek's site. I don't have it on here, but he has a lot of really good videos on Cain and Abel, plus a ton of other things.
Go to Google, site:/irongeek.com /Cain.
There you go.
It's the easiest way to find them.
And the site down below, anti-hacker.info, is the site I have. I've got papers on there, and I've got probably 8 or 9 videos. And one of the videos is the one that got slashdotted, where I did a man-in-the-middle attack on MySpace. I did that live at ChicagoCon and found they were vulnerable. And I recorded it, just explained it. I reported to all the people I found that were vulnerable. I reported it to them, and everybody but Google fixed their stuff. And then the video leaked out, and I got slashdotted. And then, of course, if you ever get slashdotted, everybody in the comments just wants to insult you and tell you how dumb you are. Well, you can't do that. So it's like, whatever. So there's the contacts. Any last questions?
What was that part in the middle again?
Yeah. That's later. So look me up. Again, my online handle, SlimJim100. My real name in life is Brian Wilson. I'll go by either. So just, look me up. I'm going to step out and let the next guy get on here. I appreciate it.